Hello guys, I'm going to show you how to make these summer texts. But not just that, I will also talk about the whole mindset that allowed me to make these text styles. And by mindset, I mean what made me choose the particular font. How did I arrive at this color themes you see, and what kind of text effect am I really applying. And finally, of course, how to really bring all of this together and produce this text effect. Alright, stay tuned and find out. So the first step really is to choose the font. What I really want to achieve is that the text effect should look bold, loud, and upright. For that, you need a font that has a stronger thickness, has a nice height, and has an overall bold look. So I spent some time looking for fonts and I chose the font Acrobat Black. I downloaded it from the Adobe fonts, but if you don't have the subscription, you can visit websites with free fonts like fonts.google.com or dafont.com. So now that we have finalized the font, let's just type the word on the artboard. For that, click on the type icon on the left hand side here, or you can press the keyboard shortcut T. I'll write the word summer and make it bigger by pressing both Alt and Shift, and then stretch it from one of the corners or the edges. Now let's bring it into the center by going into Align tab and then aligning it both on the horizontal and the vertical axis. Great, so we have our font ready. Now the next question in mind is the color that I want to choose. For example, I'm recording this video in July 2025, so I thought why not start with summers as the main choice. There is plenty of sunlight which gives us yellow, but we also have monsoon rains here, so that makes look everything green because of the trees. And then summer is also related to going out for a swimming like on the beach or in the rivers, which brings in color of brown for sand and soil and shades of blue from the ocean. And then there are shades of red and dark orange because of the sunrise and the sunset colors. And this is how we end up getting with a huge range of color themes. With everything set now, let's start building all the text effects for today, and I'll start with this bold and gorgeous yellow-green combination. The first thing I will do is set this fill to none here on the left hand side color dock, and then we'll go here in the appearance panel over to the right and add the first fill. So the point of adding colors in appearance panel is that we can add multiple colors and all sorts of effects to the text, which is not possible if we choose to apply colors from the color dock or the fill from the left hand side here, which only gives us the choice to add just one color. So we already have all the color fills laid out up here. All I'm going to do is select the eyedropper tool by pressing I on the keyboard and then select this yellow color. Great. Next, I'll make two copies of this fill by holding it here and then by dragging it on the plus button 2 times. I need these two to add the highlight on the top left and shadow on the bottom right. First of all, I'll select this color and then open the color fill by clicking here on the left. So we have the color fill open. So let's add the highlight color. I'll fill the hex code for the light yellow and press OK. Now I'll select the color here on the bottom and go to the fill again and choose dark brown color. Okay. Now I need to move these both text layers to appropriate place, for which we will use the transform settings. I'll select the light color layer text and then click here on the bottom, which looks more like a mathematical symbol of derivatives. Anyways, let's just click on it and go up here in the distort and transform and then select transform. In the menu, we need to move this text slightly to the upper left side, for which I'll fill the -3 pixels value on the horizontal axis, and I'll move it by the same value on the vertical axis as well. This has moved the light color text a bit upwards and gives us the perfect highlight. Now we will do the same for the dark color text layer, but in the opposite direction. So select it, go to the transform and move the text to the right and downwards by putting in the same values but in the opposite direction. Perfect. So we have the text, the highlight, and the shadow. Now we need the green base. For that, I'll again select and copy the top yellow color text layer and duplicate it and bring it to the bottom. Now we simply need to do two things. We need to add a green color to it and then expand it. To add the green color, I'll select the eyedropper tool and select the green color from up here. Next, we will expand this text. For that, I'll go into the effects and then to path and offset path. I'll put in the value from 20 pixels and turn the joints to round. This looks great. Let's press OK and it's done. Next, we are now left with two more things to do. We need to make it look 3D by adding sort of the extrusion effect and then give it this shadow as if it is planted on a wall. Now let's do that. I'll duplicate this green text layer, but I'll also go in the color fill here and turn the color darker and fill the darker green color so that it has that proper 3D effect. Now let's select the layer again and open the transform menu. Here I'll add 0.25 pixel values on the horizontal axis and 0.3 pixels on the vertical axis, and this will slightly move the text. Now we'll go down here to the copies and add 100 copies to arrive at the desired effect, and there you go. It looks perfectly 3D the way we want it. Great. Now let's quickly add the background of 1920 by 1080 pixels, center align it, and give it this yellow color. Great. Finally, to add the shadow behind, to make it look like it's on the wall, I'll copy this green layer that is on the top. I've chosen this layer because it represents the biggest size, and also it is from this layer that it will cast the shadow behind on the wall, so to say. I will also push this layer to the bottom because shadow is obviously going to be at the bottom. I'll change its color to this dark yellow that we have already used for drop shadow of text earlier, and finally I'll go to the transform and move it by 55 pixels, and we have made it. The only thing I will do here is increase the distance between the letters as they look too close. For that, I'll go to the properties, come down here and fill in the value of choice, and with that our text effect is ready and look absolutely gorgeous. Let's move on to the second text effect that we want to build. Now the next variation that I'm going to do has a gradient color applied to it. I'll just create a copy of this original and keep it, and let's edit this new one. I have also added these new colors here on the top that I'm going to apply to this text and the background. First, I will apply the warp effect to the text. I'll go up here in effects, then warp, and choose the flag. I'll keep the bend to a lower value from 12 to 15% to give it a nice flowing kind of a feel like so. Next, I'll change the solid color of the background first. I'll select the background and then press letter G or select the gradient tool here on the left hand side, and I'll apply the linear gradient, and on the right hand side in the panel here I'll turn it by -90 degrees. And now I'll use the eyedropper tool to apply the golden brownish color, and to the second color I will apply this green color. There we go, we have the background ready. Next, I'll change the color of the yellow text, and just like before I'll select the top colored layer in the appearance panel and apply the linear gradient and turn it by -90 degrees. And then I'll apply this light yellow golden color on top and the darker shade below here. I'll shift the color balance as well and give the darker shade a bit more space. I'll do now exactly the same with the green base and turn it into a nice green gradient, as you can see on the screen. And done. There you go. We now have the second variation of this summer text ready. Finally, and now I'll just bring both of these designs a bit closer to one another. What I'll do is I'll make the text size a little bit bigger on both the variations of the text, and I will also bring the first one closer, and that's it. Two text designs are absolutely ready. Let's now move on to the third and the final variation. But I want to mention that I increased the number of colors to around 9 colors, taking inspiration from not just from earlier colors, but I also looked at other colors like the bright colors of the flowers and the pastel shades of light colored flowers. But still I kept the beach vibe in mind, and that is why I will apply that wave effect on the background to match it with the ocean theme in my mind. Let's now dive into work. Let's first create background and apply gradient to it, and this time around we will apply the freeform gradient, and I will apply all the colors to it and adjust it to the desired results manually, and also eyeball colors and change them to my liking, as you may see on the screen. Next, let's apply wave effect on top of it. First, bring down 2 horizontal guides to keep the distance even, then copy paste them and move them below like this. Then select the pen tool to make this waveform across the background. Start from the left edge and try to place a new point at even distance. Get to the other end of the box, then select a new point little below here and continue all the way back and click on the point like so. Now use the anchor point tool to turn the point into rounded shapes one by one. You can do it manually, or you can also stretch it if you want to, but I would suggest to one by one click it from the top. Once we complete that and turn it into a rounded wave, give it the white color if you haven't already. Next, go into the properties and reduce the opacity to around 30 to 35% and select overlay, and it's done. Let's now make 5-6 copies of it and move them down across the whole background. To do that, select the wave and then go into effects and select transform and make around 5 to 6 copies or so on and press OK. But we can see the waveform is stretching beyond the size of the background. To fix that, we will select this waveform and go up here in the objects and select expand, and then select the group here below and press right click and then press ungroup. But the moment you do that, you can see all the waves have been separated, but they have also turned back to default settings. But that is something we can easily fix. Select the gradient background and the bottom wave, and then select the shape builder tool and press Alt. It will turn on the minus sign and then simply delete the shape here at the bottom. Now let's quickly select all the layers and again give them the same opacity settings as we did earlier. Now next, I'm going to do the same thing of applying the gradient colors to the text. But here's a little bit of a catch. The thing is that Adobe Illustrator allows the application of the linear and the circular gradient to the text, but it does not allow freeform gradient to be applied to any kind of typography. Freeform gradient only works on proper vector shapes, so we will have to work around it to achieve what we want. First, let's take this gradient yellow text and take out a copy of it, and let's bring it here on top of our new gradient. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the warp from flag to arc and give it the settings as you see on the screen. Then I'm going to remove this green color base. I will just select the dark green 3D base and open up the color fill and put in the hex value to turn it into a dark blue shade. Now on to the final bit. Just notice things carefully and watch it multiple times if need be to understand clearly what I'm trying to do here. So first off, I'm going to take this multicolored background, make a copy of it, and make it smaller to match the size of the text. Next, I'm going to rearrange the colors of the gradient so that brighter colors take up more space. You can also delete the dull or muted colors and make changes the way you want. Next, I'm going to select the text, copy it, and then paste it on the front. Now what I want is just this middle yellow colored shade to stay and the rest to disappear. For that, I'll go in the appearance panel and select all the color layers except the top one and then simply delete them all. So I am now left with just the top yellow color. Make sure you don't move the text from its place. Now bring the small color gradient just below this text layer if you haven't done already. You can notice that by looking it in the layers menu if you want to and move them up and down accordingly so the text and gradient are layered properly. Then select them both, right click and press clipping mask. And done. Now the gradient colors have been applied to it. Finally, select this multicolored text and the text that is below it and group them together. And there you go, your third text is also ready. So we have made within few minutes 3 different variations of the summer text. I love doing this, and if you like this tutorial, please don't forget to press the like and subscribe button, because my analytics tell me over 95% of my viewers don't subscribe. So please subscribe so that I can continue working on this and share my learning and experience with all of you. Thank you so much for getting along with me this far, and I'll be back with another tutorial very soon. Take care and goodbye.